Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. This evening's topic, I'm going to talk about men's guide to dating. Rules 55 to 65. Now, the reason why I'm putting these rules out is so men have a guide when it comes to dating and they won't allow themselves to get pushed around, emasculated, and they won't feel ashamed when they are being shamed for not dating someone that they don't want to date, because dating is not inclusive. Dating is exclusive. In other words, you don't date everybody you meet when you have standards, because if you know who you are and you want somebody who's going to represent you and you're going to represent them. But if you don't pick a partner who has your best interest or one who sees your vision and supports you as a man, then you're always going to be frustrated, because men are naturally going to give back. But you have a number of women who don't reciprocate. And they believe that love is unconditional. Love is not unconditional. Love is conditional. Again, one size does not fit all in a dating world. Now, moving on. Rule number 55. Don't date a woman who is constantly on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media sites, because she may air out everything that is going on with the relationship, whether it is good or bad. When you allow people to come into your relationship, what you have done is compromised your relationship. Why? Because you've invited people to have an opinion about what's going on in your relationship, and you may not lay out all the facts. You may lay out what you see is going to benefit you. And a number of women do that. They love gossip. Remember this: a relationship should be between you and your partner, period. Number 56. Do not date a woman if she says you have to accept her children and grandchildren because you as a man did not make those children. She is responsible for her children. And if she's putting dating profiles out that she has time to date, but then when you meet her, she doesn't have time to date, she already became a hypocrite. She's been dishonest. But as far as children and grandchildren are concerned, too many women allow their children and grandchildren to interfere with the relationship, especially if there is a small disagreement and the children and grandchildren really don't have the facts of what went on. They see everything one-sided from the woman's perspective because they are part of the woman. These children and grandchildren aren't part of you. You have some children and grandchildren, if they know you've been calling their mom or grandma, they will come back and they will text you even if you don't know them, or they'll find your Facebook page, because children and grandchildren are very good with Facebook and other social media types. And as a man, again, it is not your job to take care or accept anybody else's children or grandchildren. They're not going to accept you. And plus, a number of children and grandchildren today are very disrespectful. Who wants to be around that nonsense? Rule number 57. Don't date a woman who doesn't have a car. Now, that can be debatable. But I'm making a general statement. So she should know how to drive. She should also have a job or some type of income, whether it is disability, Social Security, and she should also have a place to live. She's supposed to be an adult. Adults have responsibilities. She must be able to meet you halfway. It's not your job as a man to do everything. In other words, you as a man, if you have yourself together, you should be able to meet her halfway as well. But women are supposed to be adults. There's nothing wrong with once in a while picking her up, taking her out to dinner. But if she's not going to do the same thing for you, you're going to be miserable and you're going to have a lot of resentment, and then you're going to go on hating women. Rule number 58. This is a big one. Don't date her if you say no. Now, what do I mean by no? Okay, follow me. Don't date her when you are having a discussion and you make a decision that's not popular with her. See, one thing that a number of women can't take is the word no, because her reaction is always going to be some immature and shaming reaction because she didn't get her way with you. Well, what you're doing is making a decision, albeit not popular. It's best for the relationship. And a big example is how to spend money. You have a number of women who are poor money managers. Number 59. Don't date a woman who is a feminist or misandrist. Now, if you don't know what a misandrist is one who has hate for men. And of course, feminism has ruined a lot of relationships, both male and female. So if you find out that a woman is a feminist, you as a man run as far as you can. Because at the end of the day, that ideology of feminism and misandry is going to destroy your relationship. It may destroy your life. These days, a number of women live in fantasy land. They want too much, but they are unwilling to give themselves. And again, when it comes to a relationship, relationships are give and take. It's not about you as a woman, and it's not about you as a man. Moving on. Rule number 61. Very important. Do not continue to date a woman who's going to deny you sex after you've gotten to know her. Now, why is that important? Because a number of men really don't tell you that they want to have sex with a woman. They always think what she wants to hear. And what she wants to hear is a man who doesn't want to have sex with her. Men want to have sex, just like women. And women must understand that sex is a part of a relationship, and they want it as much as we do. Now, there are a few exceptions. Of course, when she's really sick or in bad health, she can't have sex. But for the most part, if a woman, after you've gotten to know her and you've spent your time and money on her and she denies you of sex, you wasted your time. You got to get out of there as soon as possible and move on to the next person to whom you have some interest in, and also one who's going to share your vision. But you got to share her vision as long as a real world and it's a sensible vision. Number 62. Don't date a woman who doesn't give you any compliments. Now, this is very important. How many of you guys out there give women compliments? You tell her how good her hair is, how good her hair looks, how she smells. She looks nice. How many women do that for you as guys? A number of women don't give guys compliments. And I always hear this, well, men get very egotistical. Well, there are a lot of egotistical women out there, very narcissistic and immature women out there as well. Again, a number of women are petulant children. If they don't get their way, they stomp their feet and they react in a childish way. So, men, it's very important that you don't put yourself in a position to where you're wasting your time dating a woman who's not interested in you. You don't care what she says. You have to follow her actions. And it is very important that a woman, if she's interested in you, she gives you compliments. I mean, it's nice to hear that we look nice, we smell good as well. Men are human beings. We're not robots. And that's going to bring me to another rule, a few rules down about utilities. So let me move on. In a relationship, when it comes to compliments, whining and dining, women need to be better at reciprocation. Now, again, this is general, and I'm utilizing a man's point of view. And also, you as a woman can take these rules and utilize them yourself, because there are also men out there who aren't doing what they're supposed to do. But I want to talk to the men because men have a problem dating. They complain about bad women, but they continuously dumpster dive. They're having sex with the wrong types of women, and then they become very angry with women when in essence men should be angry with themselves for picking the wrong types of women. Most of us men really don't have any clue when it comes to dating, and black men especially don't have any game at all. They're not confident. They're afraid to tell a woman directly what's on his mind. They have to beat around the bush, and at the end of the day they get nowhere with women, and it makes black men look weak and dysfunctional. But in general, men today are weak and dysfunctional, and it's not only because of feminism, it's because men, for the most part, have given up on life. They've given up on themselves because they've allowed the influences, such as the politicians and the system, to dictate to them how to be a man. That moves me on to rule number 63. Don't date a woman if she tries to emasculate you. Now, emasculation is a big term that is used in a black community or black communities. Now, why is it important? Because usually when a woman tries to emasculate you as a man, she does not want you to lead. She wants to lead. But with that being said, she also wants you to provide. Those two don't make sense. So as a man, you have to be a man and be direct. And if a woman doesn't like your directness, you leave. You don't have to be around her. You don't even have to listen to her. You put your point out there and you keep it moving. Too many men get in emotional arguments with women. Men have to learn how to be logical and stay on the topic when they're discussing a topic with a woman, or don't discuss it at all. Because a number of women don't take responsibility and they don't want to hear what you have to say, because in essence, it's all about them. And it is not a woman's fault. Men and women in society are programmed differently. We're programmed to be top-notch, where women don't have to be top-notch. That's why they can get away with everything that they do, because they have the system that can bail them out. And they have men who will also bail them out, because men feel like it's their honor to save them, even if they don't deserve to be saved. That moves us on to rule number 64. Don't date a woman who cannot cook or clean. Now, I don't care if you're a career-minded woman. I don't care if you have a job title. If you are a man, what you're looking for is a woman with skills to be a wife. Cooking and cleaning is part of being a wife. Now, as a man, you should also know how to cook and clean, because if she is sick or if she becomes disabled, you're going to have to do those duties as well. And if you cook and clean together, you can accomplish much more, and you'll have a lot more time together, because the focus of a relationship is for men and women to be together. And I don't see enough togetherness when it comes to men and women, because men and women have separate agendas. And this is why relationships aren't working today. Both men and women have become selfish. Now, it's good to be selfish about what you want, but you have to be realistic. Now, I'm going to do a video on preferences next, because preferences make a big difference on what type of person you are seeking. And you want to make sure you're not wasting your time by going with somebody who does not have your best interest. So that moves us on to continue the explanation of rule number 64. When it comes to learning domestic chores and cooking, a number of today's women don't know how to cook. They want to eat out, and when you're constantly eating out, it becomes very hard on your budget. This is why I say a number of women are bad money managers. Now, this also depends on where women live. Now, I find women who live in a small town or country much simpler, whereas the women who live in the suburbs and the bigger cities are more materialistic. Why? Because they have more options. There are more shopping centers, more movie theaters, more restaurants. So there is a higher temptation to spend money. If you don't believe me, look who's doing all the Christmas shopping. You go around lunchtime, it's mainly women, because most of us guys are working. But when it comes to doing domestic chores, that's part of being an adult. You're telling me that you can take care of yourself. And cooking your own food is much more healthy than going out, and it saves a lot of money. And being domestic is also healthy, because if you keep your house clean, you keep yourself clean, you alleviate a lot of germs and bacteria that can make you sick. The last one, rule number 65. Now, there are a number of us who have met or are meeting online. Now, online dating used to be very good, but over the past 7 years, it's gotten worse because of the introduction of Facebook, Instagram, and other social media sites. Now, when you're online and you meet a woman as a man, and both of you have shown some type of interest in each other, and I'm not talking about texting, but I'm talking about conversation by phone. Also, you may have met her in person. Well, here's one thing that a number of women do. They will continue to go back on site, even if they tell you they like you. Well, do they really like you? Or did they tell you they like you just to make you feel good? Or did they tell you they like you because that's what you wanted to hear? Well, you have to look at the action for yourself. And again, when it comes to the truth, no matter what a woman says or no matter what a man says, the truth is always going to surface. So if you meet a woman on a dating site, but she's constantly online, what she's doing is seeking a better deal. And she'll do that thinking that she has a backup plan. She really doesn't have a backup plan, because in the end, she's really not looking for anybody. She just wants attention. And it makes her feel good to have guys giving her compliments. Guys, all you're doing on an online dating site is complimenting a picture. If you want to see what she actually looks like, you utilize the video chat on your phone, and that will give you a realistic image of her. because both of you have a camera and you're actually utilizing a person-to-person conversation while you are looking at one another. And you don't need pictures. Pictures are very deceptive. You can use Photoshop. You can put somebody else's picture up there. And there have been a number of men who have been catfished. They thought they had a certain type of woman, and then when they met a woman in person, it wasn't like the woman that was seen in the picture on an online dating site. And you have to understand as well, some of these women could be in relationships. They're either trying to leave their relationship or they're trying to have an affair. Again, you're not going to find out unless you follow the action. And you don't have to do a lot of questioning. The action is going to tell you everything. And this is what men have to understand when it comes to women. Women, a number of them, haven't grown up. And this is not bashing women. This is telling the truth about the behavior of women. And it's not women's fault. Again, as I explained earlier in the video, men and women have been socialized differently. Men have been socialized to be responsible, where women have been socialized to be victims. This is why the programs benefit women. This is why women, particularly your educated and your poor women, vote Democratic. And the reason why they vote Democratic is because the Democrats provide them with programs. This is why in the government sector you see a lot of women working. But that doesn't make women bad. But what I'm trying to do for the guys is give them some insight so they're not hating women, because it is very healthy to have relationships. And you can have relationships in today's culture, but it all comes down to where your mind is, not where your heart is. It's where your mind is, because you need to utilize your mind, because there is a lot of temptation that's around you. And the devil will grab everything about you and put his perspective inside you, and you'll be doing devilish things like cheating, having sex with multiple guys, getting pregnant from the wrong guys. There are lots of good women out there. And again, this is not a video to bash women. I'm trying to help the men out, because women, you do have standards. The only thing you women have to do is become realistic with your standards, and you'll be okay. Because a number of you know what you want, and you have to be less superficial. And here's another thing that I want to say about one of my rules, and I forgot to mention it, and it's rule number 60. Going back to that, I don't think I've mentioned rule number 60, but I'm going to mention it right now. Rule number 60 says that you don't date a woman who sees you as a utility. Now, what do I mean by utility? I mean, you're being utilized as a man that can give her things like money, jewelry. That's what I mean. She's just taking advantage of you for your resources, but she doesn't intend on having a relationship with you. And you have to understand that as a man, she's not looking to do anything for you. It's about what you can do for her. And women have to understand that men have qualities. They have emotions. They have a character as well. And if you're going to get to know a man as a woman, you need to look at more than just what you can get from him. Because men are human beings. They're not robots, and they're not ATM machines. And if you women figure everything out instead of listening to your miserable girlfriends and looking at what's on television and listening to what the feminists are telling you and use your own mind, you can find good men and you can procreate with good men, because it is healthy that men and women get along, because men and women are not supposed to be independent of each other. They're supposed to be interdependent. A woman brings her strengths and weaknesses to the table, and so does a man. You interlock and you become one. And if you follow that principle, you're going to have a healthy relationship. Certainly, along the line, there are going to be challenges, but one must understand, when you don't look at what's going on around you when it comes to bad people and jealous people, you're going to end up falling for the bad influences that you are going to receive from bad people. And you must understand, when you have a relationship, the relationship is about you two. It's not about your family. It's not about his family. If you don't put your relationship number one, there's going to be resentment from one or both parties. So when you are meeting a woman, you need to put your best foot forward. And ladies, you need to do the same thing. It's not about your girlfriends. It's not about your children. Because if you're online and you tell a man you're looking for a date, you're looking for a relationship, well, you can't always use the "I'm busy, I have this going on." Well, you put a profile up there. You're under the same pressure that a man is when he commits himself to putting a profile out there. Now, you might not be for each other. And if you're not for each other, you move on. That's why I say love is conditional. Relationships are exclusive. They're not inclusive. Love is not unconditional, because you can't love everybody. It's not humanly possible. You can say it, but when it comes to being with somebody, you want that person to be able to put you at peace, to support your vision. And if that's not happening, you're going to have conflict and your relationship will not last. Again, men, you must understand that a relationship is a two-way street. You have to know yourself and be confident in yourself before you approach a woman. You can't be dysfunctional. You can't say you're the king and want to lead when you don't know how to lead, because titles don't mean anything. It's the responsibility from the title, which is known as action, that is looked at. And remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do. If you want a healthy relationship, you must understand that a relationship is a partnership, and it takes two to tangle. I have more rules coming up. Stay tuned. But for now, you enjoy this video, because it is imperative that men and women have healthy relationships. We need to stop all this bickering and be grown up, because in essence, men and women can get along if women stop being selfish and men stop being selfish. Because, again, a relationship is two people who are trying to become a union. And the only way that works is if you know who you are and what you're looking for. So you must be grounded psychologically, mentally, and physically. Because if you're grounded, you'll be even-tempered, and you'll be able to have a healthy relationship. Because relationships just don't happen. You got to work at it. And if you do what you're supposed to do when it comes to working, you'll have a healthy relationship. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show for this evening, Hump Day, Wednesday, December 20th, 2017. You can tune into the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest calling number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show right here on YouTube so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in debates, controversial, or emotional subjects or topics. Now, it all depends on how you are receiving the information, whether it's emotional for you. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is alleviate drama and unnecessary bickering, because on this channel, what I do, I give you information that's realistic and it's positive, because if you don't understand the real world, you're going to fail. And if you have knowledge, you have power, just like relationships. If you understand how a relationship works and you know how to go about it the correct way by having standards, knowing who you are psychologically, mentally, and health-wise, you're going to have a successful relationship. If you don't, you're always going to be a revolving door in and out of relationships. So if you have the knowledge, you have the power. And if you have a business, a topic, or a new YouTube channel that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please put your comment under the video, but make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering, if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed night. Good night.